Opened on May 31st, 1953. Dutch Hogue, first ever feature winner at what is now called Land of Legends Raceway. Dutch Hogue won a 20-lap sportsman feature that set the path for history here at the Land of Legends Raceway. Now, so many years later, the 2020 season ready to fire off, but we start with a great piece of history on this historic racetrack. Back in 1977, the season was opened all the way into the month of July 14th, 1977. The racetrack only saw 3 races that year. Will Cagle won the first 2 shows. Alan Johnson would win the 3rd show. And after that, the latest season opener that the racetrack had ever seen was 1978, when the season opener was held on May 20th. Now, some 43 years later, Land of Legends Raceway sets to embark on their 2020 season on June 6th, 2020, in what will be the second latest season opener in track history. And that's how we start off our pilot episode here of Where Legends Are Made, the all-new podcast for the Land of Legends Raceway, co-hosted by Stephen and Brad Ovens. We welcome you to our pilot episode. And Brad, that's a pretty important piece of history here for the Land of Legends Raceway, and we thank Bob Miller for submitting that for us. And that's where we start tonight. We are finally getting our season underway, Saturday, June 6th, and for as murky as the waters have been these last 2 months, it was just finally great to finally get back to the racetrack, even if it was for practice.
You know, as slow as the last couple of months have been with the coronavirus and all of the pandemic going on across the world, around the world, it seems like in true dirt track fashion, things are starting to pick up just as fast as they do on the racetrack. So it wasn't that long ago that I wasn't even sure if we were actually going to get a season in this year. Maybe a few special shows if they allowed it in late summer, and now all of a sudden some developments. The data looks good. The data continues to look good. We got to keep that data good. As far as the numbers go, and not put us back into a situation to possibly lose it again. But we're excited. It's going to be a good year at Land of Legends, and I can't wait.
One of the big themes going into the 2020 season is, so many concerted efforts that are going into engaging our fan base here at the racetrack. And that's one of the things that we hope that this podcast is going to do, along with so many other improvements at the racetrack in terms of fan engagement. Certainly the Land of Legends Raceway app is going to be one of those. But Brad, this podcast is something that is not all that unfamiliar to somebody like you or myself. And this is something that it has been on the shelf for, a project that we've worked on in the past, but now seems like the perfect time to kind of reignite that fire, I guess is what I would say, and bring a little bit something different, something else for the fans, the drivers, the race teams to chew on during the week. And I think that's what this is going to help provide.
Yeah, absolutely. The platforms that we have via social media, the internet, the brand new Land of Legends Raceway app, all these different things that just puts the power at your fingertips to have any content that you'll want. I think it'll be kind of fun to sit here and digest, and things happen so fast at the racetrack. You've only got a certain amount of time. You got a time slot you got to hit. Schedules change. Races get pushed up. Intermission gets cut short. We don't always get to have the discussions that we want to have live at the track, but I think this will be the perfect platform to get to discuss those and even throw some opinions around, because it's fun.
Absolutely. Where legends are made. I mean, that's been a hashtag that has been used at the racetrack since the track changed names to Land of Legends Raceway. And it's so appropriate. I mean, you think back to all of the history, and you talk about, let's talk about that hashtag for a second, where legends are made, Brad. I mean, what is it that Paul Cole always says at the track and out in public? Legends are not just things that that are drive the drivers that have made the track so successful and so popular. A legend is not just a driver that has gone out and set records and scored over 100 feature wins and whatnot. Legends are memories that are created at the racetrack. Maybe you met your boyfriend or your girlfriend there. Maybe you met your boyfriend and girlfriend and later got married. You met at the racetrack, or kids like ourselves that grew up going to the racetrack every weekend. That's this place, this track here at the Land of Legends Raceway is where legends are made. And I think that's something that we're going to get to highlight here with the podcast, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much history as far as, going back to the formation of dirt back when all of this originally started, with Glenn Donnelly and the formation of the Drivers Independent Racing.
Yeah. Drivers Independent Racetracks.
Yes.
Dirt
Racetracks. That helps.
Yeah.
But,
See, this is why we're a good team, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because I can vividly remember going back and going to nights at Atlanta Legends back in the Canandaigua Motorsports Park days, and even before then, and just Canandaigua Speedway, going back and just a few races I remember back in the days of when you had the big sponsors and the big names in dirt modified racing, the Pillsbury cars, the Alan Johnson Beachy car, Gary Tompkins when he had his dominant year in the Pillsbury car, just races like that and years like that and seasons like that. The old live shows for This Week on Dirt. I can't tell you how many times I've worn out that video on YouTube watching the old This Week on Dirt videos. There's a lot of history that goes into it that maybe some of the newer fans may not be aware of, and that may be something that we can introduce them to and show them that, not only do we have great racing today, but we can show them where the great racing came from and why it's so great.
Let's talk about some of the things that we want to do with the Where Legends Are Made podcast. One thing that I know, Brad, that you're going to probably, you and I are going to have some spirited conversation about is a segment that we're going to call the Highlight of the Week. And that's where we're going to pick our favorite audio highlight from the previous Saturday's race. And we're going to feature that, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about why we think that's the highlight of the week. And, for somebody like you that works on our production team up in the tower, I think that's probably something that you're going to take a lot of pride in, because, man, that when you get a great highlight, I mean, there's nothing that doesn't, give us goosebumps more than when you get a highlight worthy moment that you see out on the racetrack.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny. It's hard to describe in a way, but anybody who's been at the racetrack long enough, you almost have kind of like that sixth sense feeling of when you see something, you just know. Obviously, the first ones that come to my mind is the Eric Rudolph and Matt Shepard battle, with Eric Rudolph splitting Shepard in the lap car to take the lead and end up winning the race that night. That's just one of those moments that you see it, and anybody who's been around it or knows it, or just even a new fan may see it and go, wow, that's awesome. You're going to remember that for a long time to come. the Super Dirt Series race with Max McLaughlin and Eric Rudolph, another Eric Rudolph and Shepard story. It's just one of those moments that I know I was in the tower when it happened with you, with Shane Andrews, and there was a good almost half a lap when after Shepard took the lead that I don't think anybody knew what to do. Like it took a good half a lap for us to pull our jaws up off the ground to say what just happened. I mean, that's something that's going to be in a highlight package for years to come. Is something to show the excitement and to show anything can happen.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to providing that highlight of the week. Another segment that we want to feature here on the Where Legends Are Made podcast is This Week in Land of Legends Raceway History. And this is where we're going to tap on the shoulder of our good friend on the production side of things, Bob Miller, who is, I don't even think, Brad, that calling Bob Miller a super fan, I don't even want to say that, because I don't think Superfan covers it. Bob Miller lives and breathes motorsports in Canandaigua, and he has been very gracious enough to agree to offer us some history. And what we're going to do is each week that we do the podcast, we are going to look at Bob's going to pick out a cool piece of history about Land of Legends Raceway that has to do with that week when we record the podcast. So it's going to be relevant to that week when you listen to it, which I think is going to be a way, again, to engage our fans, whether you've been a fan of Land of Legends Raceway as long as Bob Miller has, or if you're new to the racetrack, or maybe your race team is new within the last couple of years, that maybe doesn't have as much of an appreciation for the history, or even know some of the history from yesteryear. I mean, that's how we're going to be able to make that connection with all of the fans here at the racetrack. So we're excited to do that. But Brad, we're going to call it the A main, and it's going to be called the A main for good reason. What would a good podcast that engages the fans be without some kind of interview where we will be able to connect our fans with a driver, with somebody that whether it's a driver, whether it's a team owner, an official, the promoter, somebody of interest at the racetrack who has a great story to tell, maybe somebody who is maybe seen at the racetrack, but maybe we don't really fully understand their role and all the things that they do at the racetrack, or a driver in the pit area that isn't standing in victory lane every single week, but has an incredible story to tell. That's where the A main featured interview of the week is going to come in. And Brad, I think that in our previous experience with podcasts, that interview with the driver, that interview with persons of interest to the fans, that was what made that podcast so successful from years past.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the perspective of all sides. I think I want to think it was a Tony Stewart interview. I think he did an interview with Kyle Petty, and he described it the best way that I think I've ever heard anybody describe the perspectives of racing. He's divided it almost up like a pie. You've got 4 sections of the pie. You've got a team owner, you got a driver, you've got a race official, and then you've got a track owner, a promoter. And until you can get all 4 perspectives, you'll never really, it's really hard to truly understand the full perspective, what it takes to make that pie and to make the pie what it is.
Couldn't agree more there. Could not agree more. The other portion of this podcast that we're going to have a lot of fun with is we have another segment that we're going to call the Dash for Cash. The Dash for Cash is going to be where you fans get to interact with the show, and that is going to be where we are going to do different contests with the fans. It'll be a preview of the upcoming week show. It may be a Land of Legends Raceway ticket giveaway. It may be a Land of Legends TV video, a free night of streaming video giveaway. We're going to have a lot of different things, maybe some Land of Legends Raceway merchandise. Whatever it is that the promoter allows us to give out, that's what we're going to do with our Dash for Cash segment. So a lot of these segments we are going to work on for next week's show, our first episode. But this was really our opportunity to kind of dip the toes in the water and let the fans know, and our future podcast fans know, exactly what it is that we're going to do here. We're very excited. The one thing that I think is important for fans here tonight to take away, or maybe in the morning or afternoon, whenever it is that you get to tune in and listen here, the big important thing that we want to take out of this is we want interaction with the fans. We want you to help us steer this ship. We want you to contact us on Twitter. We want you to contact us on Facebook and let us know, who is it that you want to hear from? What driver do you want to hear from? What drivers do you want to be interviewed? What kind of questions do you want us to ask them? What is it that you want to see for our Dash for Cash giveaways? Maybe the things that we listed off, maybe there's other things that fans would find interesting for that Dash for Cash segment. Maybe on Saturday night at the racetrack, you hit us up on Twitter, on Instagram, or on Facebook and say, well, I think that, let's say, Alicia Bay passes Darrell on the final lap of the 305 sprint car race. Hey, guys, I think that ought to be your highlight of the week for the podcast. We'd love to see stuff like that. We want this to be interactive. We want it to be fun. We want it to be interesting. And I think that that's exactly what's going to happen here. So that is essentially kind of what we're looking at here to start this podcast off, is to give a little preview of what it is that we've got going on. Brad, I think the other thing I want to mention too is we've got our first show of the season on Saturday night, Saturday, June 6th, 2020. The grandstands are closed to fans. However, you can participate by watching on landoflegendstv.com. I know it's not the same as being there in person, but unfortunately, at this time, it's the best that we can provide, being that we're not allowed to have fans on site. So tune into landoflegendstv.com. You can make a free account on the website, and then you can pick and choose what it is that you want to subscribe to. Now, there are season streaming passes available. There are weekly pay-per-views available. And I will say that season streaming pass, even right now, is still the best bang for your buck right now, because with that, you can get live video streaming on race nights. If you come to the racetrack, if you can't make it to the racetrack, Land of Legends TV is a great opportunity there. If you're a race team in the pits, you can watch the live video in the pits while the event's going on. You can keep up with everything that's happening out on track. The other thing that it's great for is the on-demand content during the week. So if you're a race team or racer that was, very much a weekly DVD purchaser, you want to go back and watch those races, you can watch them within an hour or two after our show is done, when the on-demand archive becomes available. I've talked to a lot of teams that travel from a little bit ways away, that by the time they get home and get the trailer backed in the driveway, the on-demand content's already there and ready to go. So that's another great thing there. Download the Land of Legends Raceway app. Go to the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, search Land of Legends, and you'll find the Land of Legends app there. And we're going to be talking a lot more about the functionality of the Land of Legends app. So stay tuned here to the podcast and to our weekly broadcasts on landoflegendstv.com to find out more about that functionality and how you can really use that app to have all the information at your fingertips that you could ever want. Let's see, Brad. I think that's what we've got. I mean, this is really just kind of an outline of what we want to do here with the podcast, and I hope that people will enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with the old one back in the day when we did it. A lot of fun traveling up and down the road, a lot of racetrack scene, a lot of racing scene. But I think we're gonna have a lot of good racing, even from what we just saw in the first practice session from our first practice session we held at the racetrack. You know, the new clay surface, everything's going. There's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out of Land of Legends this year, Land of Legends Raceway this year. So stay tuned. We may even, you know, I got sitting here thinking, doing this. Didn't there used to be one more of us?
Yeah, it used to be a trio.
I thought there used to be a trio. Huh. You know what?
Do you think we could roll Clint Miller out of the closet for the first episode?
I would say I'll check this. I'll check to see if I have his phone number, but that hasn't worked out in the past for me. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have to put the call out. We'll put a little pressure on him.
I know his headset's been on the shelf since for what? How long? Been 3 years, 4 years now.
Yeah. Well,
I'll bet he would dust it off one time for us.
Well, something to maybe look into. But yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of great content coming, not only from the podcast, but from the racetrack in general. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Land of Legends, LandofLegendsTV.com. There's Land of Legends Raceway app. Search it on the Google App Store, the Apple App Store, all major platforms. There's just a lot of really cool interactive stuff going on this year. Our game's been good in the past, and it's just got better.
Absolutely. Don't forget, Saturday, June 6th, opening night, Land of Legends Raceway. You can tune in and watch it live on LandofLegendsTV.com. For the folks that are coming to race with us, don't forget it's a maximum of 8 people per car, including the driver. We ask you to socially distance at the racetrack as best you can. We are following CDC guidelines, so if you cannot, if you're in situations where social distancing isn't an option, we're asking you to wear a mask. That's the CDC guidelines for right now, so that's what we are going to adhere to. Pit passes are $40 on Saturday. Full purses will be paid out on Saturday. Our same purses that have been advertised over the winter time. Street stocks and hobby stocks will race on Saturday afternoon. Modified Sportsman 305 sprints will race in the evening. We will clear out the pit area for space. I'm sure we're going to need it. And for those that want to stay, that are there for the afternoon session, that want to stay and see the racing, there will be a designated area where we will have everybody move the haulers to, so that we can make space for race teams that are coming in for the evening show. So again, I think I'll close with this, Brad. We ask everybody very much for their patience. This is something very new for everybody coming up this weekend, including the racers, including the staff. We've not had to do this before, but there's been hours and hours and hours of discussion and planning. And I feel like in terms of adapting to this situation, I feel like the management staff at the track are going to hit a home run on Saturday. And I'm excited about the fact that we're going to get racing and we're going to do it the right way. And I'm so excited to be a part of that. And fans, believe me, when they open up those grandstands for the first time, we are going to pack this place like it's never been packed before. I cannot wait for that day. I know you guys can't wait for that day. And believe me, we are not going to carry this out as any longer than we absolutely have to. We cannot wait to get the fans back at the racetrack, and I know the drivers feel the same way. So, Brad, we'll close it off with that. Thank you guys for tuning into our pilot episode of Where Legends Are Made. a weekly podcast here for the Land of Legends Raceway. For Brad Ovens, my name is Steve Ovens. Thank you for tuning in, and come back next week for our first official episode of Where Legends Are Made, and we will have a very, very special guest for our A-Main interview, and you won't want to miss it. From the Land of Legends Raceway, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.